Hi everybody, hi every spirit, welcome very much to the channel. Esoteric Cloud Surfer here, and today let's talk about the new year in Capricorn season. Before we do that, leave a like and subscribe. Your support is greatly appreciated, and these links are below to find more about my content, about my readings, my consultations, and even my gaming content on Twitch and YouTube as well. So let's get started. Today is the first day of 2025 according to the calendar, the Gregorian calendar, right? And people just celebrated New Year's. I also celebrated New Year's, but we have to keep in mind that the real New Year it's only in March when the Aries season starts. But there is a reason why we have the New Year's right now, right? And it's still a spiritual event and the physical event that you can use to your benefit. So first, let's understand why it's the real New Year in March, but also let's understand the meaning behind of the new year in this Capricorn season. All right, so first, in order to understand what we mean by real new year, we have to understand that we are looking for the best conditions and situations to start a new cycle, a new big cycle, a new cycle that lasts 365 days, right? So it's not just like a lunar cycle, it's a big cycle. So it's important to know where you start, because in order to know where you're going, you have to know where you come from, and where you start will become where you come from. So it's important to know and be aware of your start and the surrounding that involves you when you start your year, right? So the real new year, it's in March, because physically, for an example, you can see as an example, right, flowers, or way more flowers start blooming, way more animals are reproducing. We start into the springtime. The sun starts to bring more warmth and more life and more energy. Even the fiscal year, for an example, in the companies also starts in April most of the times, right? And it's the first house. There is a reason why the first house is the first house, and there is a reason why it's Aries, cardinal fire. It's really the first, because cardinal represents the initiation and starting of something, and fire is the first element, or it's the first element that we become aware as spirits. So the start of the year, it's really on March. And also the sun is exalted in Aries and in the first house, and the calendar that we use, it's a sun calendar. So it makes even more sense to celebrate the new year when our ego, our individuality, and our personal awareness are more powerful and more eager to do something externally. Now, that doesn't mean that the new years that we celebrate, or that people in general celebrate in Capricorn season in December, doesn't make sense. It does, but I think most people use it in the wrong way. So let's understand what it means to have the new year in the Capricorn season. So first, very importantly, we have to understand there is a sequencing of events, right? You have the solstice, then you have Christmas, and then you have New Year. And that's very, very important, because like I said, we are living on a solar calendar. And what happens around Christmas? The sun goes through the Crux constellation and it hits its lowest point. And then 3 days after, it starts to come out. That's Christmas. And the solstice was right before Christmas this year, and then we had the new year, right? So it would make sense to celebrate New Year after the sun just hit its lower point, its lowest point. But like I said, it's more important to celebrate New Year's when we are already empowered and charged. So it still takes time to charge up, or for the sun to charge up after it hits the lowest point. It still needs to catch some momentum. It still needs to build up some power to then really express externally, right? But Capricorn, or celebrating the new year in the Capricorn season, allows us to initiate, but way more internally, in way more cold ways. Remember, it's winter time, the start of winter. Everybody is a bit more, winter in the northern hemisphere, right? But people are more by themselves, in their own places, in their own houses, or with their own family. people looking for safety and security, people looking for warmth. It's like holiday season, a lot of buying stuff, shopping, accumulating, looking for the best deals, looking for gifts, uh, being around your family and like other family, like your, if you are married, you go also spend some time with the family of your partner and stuff like that. So it's not really about you. That's the point. In Aries season, it's way more about you. It's way more about your individuality expanding. In Capricorn season, it's more about you applying your individuality about reality, about stability, about structure, which is also good, but it's not really the new year. It's actually the end of the year. It's starting the last season, winter, right, of the year, because winter, it's when nature is on its weakest point, right? Conserving energy, like trees lose leaves to conserve energy and to conserve water. A lot of animals go to hibernate during the winter to conserve energy, right? So Capricorn season and winter, it's really about using all the wisdom that we have built throughout the year to be the most profitable and efficient, right? Because it's winter, it's more spiritual. We are more active spiritually. So physically, we need to be very efficient and calculative with our actions, energies, and associations. That's why Capricorn, it's ruled by Saturn and it's cardinal Earth. So initiating new ways to have limits and boundaries, efficient and profitable responsibilities about your associations, real world, networking, and association. It's not about expanding your space or expanding yourself, like I was saying. Now, there is a common point between Capricorn season and Aries season. Mars is exalted in Capricorn, right? So there is, like I said in the start of the video, we can still use this event for our own benefit. So you can still take that exaltment of Mars and use your passion, motivation, anger, frustration, and personal insecurities, personal interests, and personal life in general to bring a stamp or a vibe of your own individuality and uniqueness to those new responsibilities, to those new limits and boundaries, to those new ways to be profitable and efficient about your routines and patterns, networking and association, right? But in general, you should recognize that it's not yet the start of the year, right? It's just the start of a new part of the year, of the last part of the year, right? So what is the main differences, what are the main differences, I mean, between New Year in Aries season and New Year in Capricorn season? Capricorn season, or the New Year in Capricorn season, is more about you initiating a new cycle internally to learn how to cope and be a part of the real world. In March, in Aries season, it's you just creating new ways to be yourself and express yourself in your own visions. So it's way better to initiate your next big cycle with that step, with that intention, right? Because in a specific point, we can even say that Capricorn season is more about limiting than expanding. And you don't want to initiate your year, you don't want to celebrate limitation, death, winter. It's about separation. You go to your own space. It's not really about sharing spaces. It's not really about go and connecting with the world or expanding with the world, right? It's about you connecting to the world and make sure things are working, make sure things are in its place. So it's not really about celebrating. It's not really about growing and expanding. It's about maintaining. It's about growing and expanding spiritually, right? But there is a reason why we come to this world. We want to experience our spirituality in the physical realm. So it's way better to take those energies and apply them when we can be exalted in your own uniqueness and individuality, right? So even though it's not real New Year's, you can still initiate a new cycle and be aware. And remember, a lot of people are celebrating or were celebrating that event. So there is a lot of energy being directed to that event. So you can use it, right? You can use like it's free for all. Everybody can use that energy because there is an external event and people are sending energy to that place. It's not a private thing. It's not something behind closed doors, and it's something that almost everybody in the world does. Just remember that we are in Capricorn season, right? And that just made remind myself a point. That's why a lot of people that do the New Year resolutions, they fail 1 or 2 weeks after, because it's easier to not be motivated and excited about those new limits and boundaries, right? Right now, if it is like in March and in the spring, it's way easier to give birth to things, and it's way more likely that they will spend a bigger time period, because that's the right time for that. Nature is doing that at that time. If you live in the northern hemisphere, you go outside and you see what's going on, right? Nature is dying or coming to a more closed space. So instead of going for these New Year resolutions right now, you should go for those New Year resolutions later in March, in the start of the real year. You know what I'm saying? And then remember as well that Capricorn and then Aquarius, after Capricorn season, are both ruled by Saturn. So it's time for more responsibility, more realism, more truth, and detach from physical desires and physical circumstances that don't benefit your spiritual space or don't allow you to have so much spiritual clear space and clear perspective. And that's why it's also not a great time to be celebrating the start of a new year when we still are entering a Saturn space of Capricorn and Aquarius. Because instead of being celebrating right now, we should be analyzing and realizing stuff. We should be having in consideration the year that we just spent, and then in Pisces season, expand spiritually in your imaginations, derive all the conclusions, all the wisdom, all the knowledge from your testimonies, from others' testimonies, aka mutable water, and then you start a new year in March in Aries. That makes so much sense. Capricorn season, you create a new perspective to look at the world and yourself in a realistic way. Aquarius season, you develop a fixed mind about the whole year, and that you can derive individuality from it, and then you derive all the meanings and knowledges from those situations in Pisces season, so you can start a new year more powerful, more excited, and more charged than ever. But still, we can use this energy of people celebrating to insert that into your new routines and patterns. And that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Your support is greatly appreciated. I wish you the best thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions, and a whole bunch of individuality, creativity, and responsibility as well. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe, and there's a links down below to know more about myself and my services. Till the next time, as a Cloud Surfer, surfing out.